Welcome to the Rethink Leadership podcast with me, Jeremy Blaine. I interview leaders, experts and business professionals from around the world who are bringing leadership principles and know-how into the digitally driven 21st century workplace, with focus firmly on the how-to rather than the what. Each episode is in aid of a charity chosen by my guests, and since 2020, we've made donations to over 80 global and local causes. Today, I'm joined by the remarkable Rebecca Osewa. Rebecca has battled hardship, challenge, and carved out opportunity all her life. She emulates bold perseverance, resilience, and courage, and is guided by a strong North Star to drive her journey ever forward. On top of that, she's just a great human being with a big heart and sharp focus. In her words, the price of greatness is immeasurable. It demands a lifetime of impact, service, and unwavering dedication. Our true reward lies in witnessing the transformation of lives, the progression of society, and the advancement of nations, all because we choose not to give up and we dare to dream beyond ourselves. This is Rebecca in a nutshell, and we explore her background, challenges faced, opportunities realised, and how she is guided by her clear envisioning of the future for herself, for her business, for communities, and for the greater good of others. She's a true force for the greater good of society worldwide. Let's hear more. Becca, thanks very much for joining me. Please introduce yourself and tell us your story up to now.
Yes, sure. So my name is Rebecca Osewa. I'm a textile designer, and my journey started in 2008 at the age of 15. I was given a design brief called Identity. At that time, I was privileged to sit a 10 hours exam that ran across 2 days. And that gave me an opportunity to explore my identity, being a British Nigerian. So I was able to create a garment of one half having Ankara fabrics and the other half having an origami fabric. And that was to express my true nationality on a mannequin. And that's where the passion was able to be birthed on exploring more of my identity, being a Nigerian, even though I was very much, a London girl. And yeah, that was literally how my journey began, of being, exploring my identity as a designer, exploring more about where I'm from, where my parents are from, where they grew up. And, with that passion, it led me to being the only student in my entire year that got an A grade for my exams. I was the only student in the entire year group that got an A. And due to that passion, I was able to further that passion right up to degree level. So I was privileged to attend the University of Arts London, and I obtained a BA Honours in Fashion and Textiles, which led me to participating at the upcoming designer show at the New Designers Centre in Islington in 2016. Which also led me to even move into Ghana for some time, just to kind of explore on how, African, garments and textiles is made, and why they use cotton, or why everything is handmade and not digitally printed, which is what I'm used to, being somebody that lives in London. And that obviously led me to establishing my own brand called the Yield Initiative, which is the mission behind Youth Initiative, is to revive the cotton textile supply chain in Nigeria. This is an industry that was booming before, an industry that had about 180 textile factories that employed about 100,000 people, the largest employment sector after the public service. And I said to myself, no, this is something that I can tap into. And obviously, coming out of university, and spend a lot of time researching, it made me to realize that there's a lot of challenges in the industry, a lot of challenges in Africa. And it was it's through exploring that made me realize that, okay, Rebecca, you can actually add value here. And that's where the vision that was birthed to revive the cotton textile supply chain. I was privileged to launch my own my first pilot project in 2023 using non-GMO seeds that were imported from India. to carry out my first cotton production in Nigeria, and it was a success. The quality and the performance of the cotton performed well. And we aim to go back again in 2 years to, on a bigger scale, to actually develop our proof of concept, which would obviously attract investors. So that's exactly what the situation was. That's exactly where I am at the moment. And yes,
Wow.
it's about 17 years.
Gosh, what a journey. But the theme that runs through it, Rebecca, for me is just it's all about staying grounded and connected to who you are and where you're from. This mix of fabrics from the very beginning, that Nigeria and London connected, the Nigeria in the London girl, or the London in the Nigerian heritage, whatever you want to call it. That hands-on link to self and, kind of understanding yourself and that broader sort of community that you're from, giving birth to the Yield Initiative. And what an amazing thing for an entrepreneur like you to do. And what you're essentially doing is you're taking the burden of responsibility to look to the future for that industry, for Nigeria. So
Yes.
here's maybe an unfair question because of the stage that you're at, but how does the responsibility of envisioning the future sort of impact on your own mental and emotional well-being and that of others? And what strategies are sort of you employing to manage the burden effectively? Because you're doing a lot here.
Yeah, 17 years is a long time to stay on course on a vision that is not paying you. I don't yet make money for what I'm doing. It's not yet paid me anything, but it's one of the things that I do that gives me the most fulfillment. And has it affected me mentally and emotionally? 100%, because there's times where I've had moments when I'm just like, the only thing that's growing in my life is my age. I'm getting older and I'm just full of energy and passion, and there's nothing forthcoming. But one of the key things that I have learned to manage my emotions and my well-being is learning how to be patient with myself, understanding what I'm working on. For example, trying to revive an industry is a big it's a big vision, first of all, and it's also a long-term goal. It's not something that is going to happen overnight. In fact, the vision is so big, it's generational. So in my lifetime, it's only going to be something. It's only going to be what I can do with the time that I'm able to do within the time frame that I have. The next generation will be able to add on to that. Do you understand? So understanding that it's a big vision, it's a long journey, and also learning how to kind of step away. For example, I'm a 32 years old business owner, and just other areas of your life as well that you don't want to ignore. Learn how to step away from the vision and understand, okay, Rebecca, your biggest challenge with this vision is finance. I'm a member of the International Cotton Association. I have non-executive directors on board in my company. I have a network. I have people that I talk to. I have networks in Nigeria. I have networks in the US. And that's amazing. I've also been invited to speak at the World Trade Organization. So I've got networks around me. So I will say another thing is, embrace networks, be a part of a global conversation. So your journey does not seem like you're alone in it. Because when you start having conversations with people in your industry, you realize that the challenges is very much the same. The difference is just probably the country where you guys are operating your business from. The challenges are the same. So networking, building, a close, tight network helps. Learning how to be vulnerable. I think vulnerability is power. I went to a networking event even yesterday, and I told the person that I met at that event, look, I'm not making money for anything I'm doing, but these are the things that I need. And the person said, no problem, Rebecca, let's talk tomorrow. So for me, vulnerability is power. Sometimes we feel like because we are spoken at certain platforms or people know us as this, we can't show that we need help, because life happens. And what I've learned is, take one step at a time. For example, I did a pilot project in 2023 and it was a success with the quality of the cotton. But then I've learned, okay, Rebecca, you need to spend more time developing financial capacity so you can actually achieve the next phase, which is proof of concept. So if I know that money is my problem, I need to take a step away from trying to do another project and actually focus on what strategies in place am I going to, to implement to actually raise this capital, which I have done. I had to launch 2 separate entities in London, which serves as a financial vehicle to actually fund the vision.
It is amazing. And it's the immediate question in my mind now is, what role, as a leader of this and as a great networker here in Africa and elsewhere, what role does perseverance play in your journey as you're looking into this unseen future, but you're also guiding others in this unseen future? Or you've got the vision, but we don't know kind of where we're going in the short term. And how can you sustain your own determination and passion in the face of, the struggles and obstacles that you're coming across to make progress? You've been at this for 17 years, so you can really start to supercharge it.
Exactly. I think what I have done is I have learned to I've got a desk deck. So a desk deck is a summary of, my mission, my vision, my purpose, my team, the things, what we plan to do in the future, our goals, our progress, and how we tend to implement that. And even the status that we plan to operate cotton production in Nigeria. And that desk deck is a vision. So even if I am not physically talking to people every day, that's uploading on my LinkedIn. So my LinkedIn, people that come across me, hear about me, can literally, download it and actually see the mission. Okay, wow, this is what she's about. This is what she's got. Another thing I have that people underestimate now, I actually have a website. There's a website to my vision. A website to me, yes, you might not be making money, but a website for me is your shop, is a vision, is flesh to your vision. Do you understand? It's flesh to your vision. So yes, people, you might not have full scale production, hundreds and hundreds of staff working for you, but this is what it is going to be. Yeah. So just let your mind get there first, and then your body follows after. So that's what exactly the whole desk deck and the whole having a website serves. And another thing is I've learned how to celebrate a small win. A small win to me is as far as even just, reading an article, for example, and say, you know what, I would like to have a further conversation with this individual, check them out, sending an email, and even getting a response is a small win. Just learning how to celebrate the fact that I've learned also how to celebrate my strength, because sometimes we think strength is all about the actual result. Oh, she's now making money in what she's doing, or wow, she has a factory. But if somebody can stay on course for 17 years without I'm spending money, going to Nigeria, paying for farmers, I'm spending my own money to do these things. For 17 years to stay on course, money can't buy that. You understand? Money cannot buy that. So you can imagine if I just had resources to now actually implement the vision, how far and how quick we'll be able to achieve and solve the problem that we have in Nigeria, especially within the fashion industry. So for me, yeah, that's literally it. It's just celebrating your small wins and learning how to celebrate my small wins, learning how to appreciate, seeing my strength and my strength as a power, and not seeing it, not just saying, oh, you're just busy going nowhere. No, you're busy going somewhere, but the journey is long. And then what I've also learned to do is I've diversified into other industries in London, because I'm based in London currently, which serves as, I will call, a quick win. Which is I have a property management service, and I also run a concierge service. So those are businesses that obviously solves the immediate needs of people on a day-to-day basis, which obviously does minimizes the natural barriers that comes in other businesses such as the cotton industries, where it's very capital intensive. These businesses is more relationship driven and trust, and which is a lot easier to navigate than having to wait to have big finance before you actually start generating a clientele. So that obviously serves as an economic vehicle. And that for me is like a soft cushion. That's okay. You're running these businesses. You're building your financial capacity to now do what you want to do. So for me, that's where my current focus is.
Yeah, it's interesting hearing what you've talked about there is that if we go back right to the very start of this specific conversation around how almost fulfillment for you is trumping, the fact that you're not getting paid enough, or the money isn't there all the time, to do what you want to do. But it's such an important role that you're playing to bring a lot of these people together. Haven't the government or your non-exec directors or the people in your network contributed in any way financially, or is there a GoFundMe site or anything?
When we were doing our pilot project, there was a GoFundMe site, so that obviously served its purpose at that time, which was people donated. It's so amazing because I did it quite actively on LinkedIn, and people that have never met me supported the vision and donated, which I think was fantastic. And so that worked. My non-executive directors, no, they've not contributed financially. These people are I'll call them professionals in the industry. They're not like they're not owners of businesses themselves, but they're long-standing professionals in the industry. But they're serving a capacity of more expertise. And access to market, especially with my non-executive based in America. And then obviously the other non-executive that's based in Nigeria deals with the more local market and local grounds on how to navigate the farmers and so forth. But when it comes to finance, that's something that is on me. Because obviously, many people want to see that you've got, you've put some skin in the game and you're able to, you believe in your own concept before someone else can be like, okay, you've developed a proof of concept. There's also support you with who we know that could, partner with you and so forth. So I am potentially talking, because it's been some time now to my non-executive works for a global firm, a multinational merchant company in the US that's been existing since 1851. So he sits on board as a non-executive director attachmental to me. So the goal is, once I'm able to develop my proof of concept, which I roughly need about 50,000 British pounds to develop that, then he will be able to step in and introduce the multinational company as a potential partner. So yeah.
Fantastic. So you heard it here, folks. If you want to support Rebecca in raising this £50,000, then figure out who in your network can do it, the directors, whatever, and get in touch, and we'll get your details at the end, Rebecca, so
Yes.
people can connect on that. And
Yes.
I was just reflecting for those tuning in who are similarly purpose driven in many ways, but also very entrepreneurial, that sometimes when it's hard for others to see that vision where you're so passionate about the things that you do to drive that sort of collective, really helping yourself first by stepping away, having patience, and so on, but encouraging others in the networks, bringing them together with global experts, making sure that you're having very open, courageous conversations, and you, of course, being the driver of it, showing
Yes.
that vulnerability at times, as you talked about as well. I really like
Yes.
that. And together celebrating those small wins.
Yes.
Um, and so actually there is then, with what you're trying to do, and I understand where you are. I have a social enterprise myself, and I totally get the feeling of fulfillment and the fact that I just want to do that now. But
No.
I've got to find a way to do it so that I can still, earn money and do these kind of things.
Yeah.
So, and often that's where you're reliant on others, but they might not see it as you do it. So I'd love to tap your experience in this and asking, what are some of those potential conflicts that may have arisen on your journey when your vision of the future is at odds with maybe the expectations of others, either at government level or individual level, expert level? And what are the tips that you can give those tuning in to navigate those challenges and actually drive the change?
Yes, there is going to be a lot of challenge. First of all, I'm operating this cotton vision, revival of the cotton textile supply chain in Nigeria. There's not a lot of good press regarding doing business in Nigeria. Let's just be honest, and that has affected me massively. There's times there was a moment when I was at a conference in Germany attending a cotton conference, and I flew down to Germany for the conference. And as you know, such industry is not it's very male dominated, and also there's not obviously a lot of black colored people in the industry. And I came across somebody that was speaking to another party in the industry, at the event very early in the morning, just before it kicked off, stating, "Oh, don't do business with Nigeria. Nigeria's corrupt." When I heard that statement, I felt very uncomfortable because I'm Nigerian, even though I live in London, and that's where I want to do my current project from. Did I have a conversation with the man after? Nope. Did I go up to him to even have a conversation with him? Nope. Did I even talk to the person that he spoke to? No. Because I felt like, yeah, you're going to be like, the topic of the day. Oh, don't go to her, she's Nigerian. So, yeah, and that made me realize that me doing business in Nigeria or representing Nigeria at a global level has not been easy, because people don't have good experiences, and people sometimes wave the flag of, many centuries ago or many years ago, they did business in Nigeria and it's falling apart, and the story hasn't changed, it's still the same, and then you're painted with the same brush. And it's not been easy. There was times when I had somebody that was, representing me to talk to potential people that can partner with me when it came to my pilot project. And then literally halfway, just before I was going to fly out, they pulled out and said, no, they don't want to participate no more. They're not comfortable. And that put me under a lot of pressure. And I thought, go for me. The world needs to know I need money. So I started sharing it with friends, family, LinkedIn, literally. And I'll be very honest with you, that's it. The financial pressure was so intense. That's when I even started to clean people's houses in my local area just to raise finance, because the deadline was too short and I needed to fly out in a few weeks, and I needed capital to cover certain costs. So the original vision that was just going to work across 2 states, with about 50 farmers, that had to downscale very quickly to just 2.5 acre of land and just carry out a pilot project. So you can imagine having something so big, having to now bring the vision completely down and cut back as much as possible, because there was no money now to carry out the original plan. So, and that's what made me. So after coming back from Nigeria for that cotton farm with the pilot project, that's when it dawned on me that I need to have control over my vision. How do I have control without depending on people too much? You all need people in business, but my major challenge was the finance. How do I have control of the finance element? So I don't go through the experience of people pulling out on me last minute, because they like me, they want to do it with me, but then when they talk to one or two people just to kind of get more clarity, they're discouraged, and leaving you in distress. So that's when I had to birth my own property and concierge service. I said, Rebecca, make money. Go into other industries where you don't need much capital to start off with. Serve people, add value to people, day-to-day living, which is what people need. People need a home to live, and people need assistance to manage their homes, and provide it as a service and use that as an economic vehicle to fund your vision. So that puts me in a position of financial control, to do what I need to do. And then once I'm able to develop capacity, I'll be able to now choose who I want to work with. Because I also not only just have the drive, I also have the finance to carry out what needs to be carried out.
That's excellent. So your business, the Yield Initiative, has really helped then fuel not just look after yourself, but then fuel this future that you're driving for in this great plan, if you like, around the Nigerian cotton industry and beyond. So with that in
Yes.
mind, what is next for Rebecca Osewa?
Yes. What is next? What is really next is that I plan to relocate to Nigeria. Not next year, the year after, to be able to, be on ground right from pre-planting season right to season, to be able to, carry out the vision from growing cotton to garment and actually develop this proof of concept that, made in Nigeria produce can be done. And yeah, so that's originally the plan. So obviously what I'm doing at the moment is working on my strategy on how I'm going to economically and position myself for such a big step.
Wow, well, best of luck and thank you so much. It's not easy being a young entrepreneur, and the resilience, the perseverance that you have to show is embodied in you. And thank you for sharing that with everybody, Rebecca. And I'm
Wow.
sure those tuning in will want to connect with you, find out more, and even help. So, how do they do that?
Yeah, so I'm on LinkedIn. My name is Rebecca Osewa on LinkedIn. Um, when you type Rebecca Osewa, you will see founder/CEO Yield Initiative. I also have a website called www.yieldinitiative.com, so you can access me there. All my details are there. Send an email, I'll get back to you immediately. And yeah, we can schedule a Zoom, schedule a meet, physical meeting, virtual meetings. I'm available.
Great. Well, Rebecca Osewa, thank you very much indeed for joining me, and good luck for the future.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for tuning in to the Rethink Leadership podcast with me, Jeremy Blaine. Please like, comment, and support us on your favourite platform, and subscribe to our YouTube channel where you can watch as well as listen to each episode.